Every 26 seconds, a teen decides to drop out of school. In Hampton Roads, nearly 15% of students drop out every year. So what makes a student drop out of school? What happens when he or she drops out? How do they get their lives back on track? I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. Up next on Another View, we'll talk about two programs in our area whose mission is to help dropouts get the education they need to become productive citizens. The Commomwealth Challenge and Point Option programs take over after a teen leaves high school. We'll find out how these programs work and hear from some students themselves right after this news from NPR.
Discussing the issues and celebrating the successes of the African American community. This is Another View.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. I hope you've been enjoying that beautiful weather out there today. And as I also hope you know by now, WHRO is one of 20 hub public media stations nationwide selected by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to participate in CPB's American Graduate Let's Make It Happen initiative. This initiative seeks solutions to ending the dropout crisis in our country and right here in Hampton Roads. WHRO is doing all it can to bring attention to the issue of dropouts and on-time graduation, including a documentary that will air this coming Monday, March 26 at 9 p.m. called Challenging Circumstances, The Dropout Epidemic, produced and reported by our own Lisa Godley. Let's listen to a clip.
How old were you when you found out that you were pregnant?
14.
The first thing that went through your mind?
I was scared.
My mom was diagnosed with epilepsy, and her partner ended up leaving her because of it. We ended up losing the house. I was homeless.
She said, "Mom, why is it that, I have people that just want to be mean to me?"
Every time I even walked into that school, I just knew that something was going to happen. I didn't like it, and I wanted to leave, and I didn't want to come back.
There is no one reason why a student makes the decision to drop out of school. Pregnancy, caring for a family member, homelessness, and bullying are just a few. And the majority are students who could have and believe they could have succeeded in school. Unfortunately for these students, life gets in the way. Like most high school seniors, 17-year-old Jasmine Smith has her sights set on graduation. Jasmine wants to graduate on time with honors from Portsmouth's Wilson High School with an advanced diploma. But unlike most of her classmates, she'll have to do it while taking care of her two young daughters.
One teacher kind of gave me a hard time when I came back. I'm pushing myself to, get further ahead in life, but it seemed like I was just being held back just from this one class. And I just hate failing. I just hate failing. That's just I don't like that. Because I just feel like I just didn't see anything.
Jasmine's feelings are not uncommon. According to the Center for Disease Control, pregnancy is the number one reason teenage girls drop out. 2 national studies show that at least half of the teens who gave birth leave, and the majority say they would have stayed had they received greater support from the adults at school. As a counselor, Heidi Felder sees kids struggling with challenging circumstances daily. So she knew she had to take action the minute she found out her daughter was being bullied.
How I began to learn about what was happening with her was watching her reactions when she came home from school.
For Christina, whether the harsh words came from the mouth of a classmate or over the internet, they were painful. And so was the idea of going to school and being bullied.
Like, sometimes you just want to kill yourself and just make sure that you're not even here anymore.
Most of the challenges that students face are not ones that they cannot overcome. But inadequate responses to those circumstances from schools, family members, and the community makes the struggle seem insurmountable. 19-year-old Raymond Harris had given up all hope of graduating with his class and had already grabbed the paperwork needed to withdraw from Norfolk's Granby High School.
I was behind a lot of my classes. My attendance was bad. I just figured GED would be the only opportunity for me because my chances of getting a high school diploma were over.
The majority of dropouts blame themselves for failing to graduate on time, but they also say there were things their family and their schools could have done to help them. According to a study conducted by the U.S. Department of Education, the number one reason teens drop out of high school is a lack of involvement from their parents and a lack of encouragement from their teachers. Of the 5,000 teenagers polled, 75% cited that lack of support as their reason for dropping out.
So, as we heard, there are many reasons why a student might consider dropping out, but what happens to that student if he or she makes this crucial choice? Are there options? Thankfully, the answer is yes. And joining us to talk about two of those options is Mike Bonfiglio, principal of Point Option.
Hi,
Mike.
Barbara. How are you?
Good to have you with us. Anthony Lowery, a student at Point Option.
Hey,
Hi.
Barbara, how are you doing?
Good to see you. And Luther Boykin, with Admissions and Public Affairs at Commomwealth Challenge.
Thank you, Barbara. Good morning.
Good morning. And Commomwealth Challenge Cadet Elijah Charles.
Morning, Barbara.
How are you?
I'm outstanding.
I want to talk particularly first to you, Elijah, and to you, Anthony. When the students say, if someone had encouraged me, I might have stayed in school. Does that resonate with you?
With me, I did get the encouragement, but I just didn't listen, didn't want to listen, just wanted to do what I wanted to do, have fun all the time, but if I would have listened, I know I would have still been. I would have graduated. I would have been a senior by now. Mm-hmm. So, I just didn't listen.
So someone did try to encourage you,
Yes,
but you
ma'am.
just didn't listen to
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
And say, Anthony, what about you? Did you get encouragement?
Well, I had times where there were, nobody there for me or, nobody caring about that situation. So I had no support and, it didn't drive me into the right direction. I kind of just saw my friends doing the same thing, not caring about school. So it drove me toward that situation.
So, Anthony, tell me your story. What drove you to Point Option? What was going on in your life?
Well, started in 9th grade at my home, my home school. Mm-hmm. My mom, she found Point Option from another student that was going there and told her about it. And then she, told me that I should go. And at first, I didn't want to at the point, And then when I came into Point Option, after a week, I was like, I'm going to just go back to my home school because, I don't really care about it.
So what was going on, though, to make your mother say to you, boy, you need to go do something else? What were you doing? Were you skipping school? Were you just not interested?
Well, I'm not proud to say it, but I was skipping school, and my grades were low, just, a lack of care for school. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what motivated you to go to Point Option. And we're going to talk about how that program works in just a minute. But Elijah, I want to ask you, what was happening in your life before you got to Commomwealth Challenge?
Before Commomwealth Challenge, I was just hanging out with the wrong people, doing drugs, and just being a follower. And I'm a great leader. I mean, I've heard it from many people. And then so just lying, being disrespectful, running away, doing what I wanted to do, trying to get money. And
school just wasn't important?
No, ma'am. The last thing on my mind, unfortunately. And then, so my stepmom happened to bump into the nurse at Commomwealth Challenge, and she said, oh, I deal with kids like him, who going through the same thing he's going through. So she gave her the information, and then my stepmom talked to me about it and talked to my dad. And then I was just like, no, thank you. I'm fine. And then, so I ended up coming to Commomwealth Challenge, and I actually like it.
Like it now that you're there.
I'm glad.
But I want to ask both of you one other thing before we kind of get into what the programs are about. People say all the time, you can't get a good job without a high school diploma. You've got to have this in order to be a good citizen. Did that not matter to you at all?
It did not.
Elijah?
It did not at first until I just realized, like, my parents just got fed up. And so I just had to get a job because I couldn't go out and sell no more drugs. Mm-hmm. So I had to go fill out plenty of applications, turn them in, and just nobody was calling me back.
So reality set in for you.
Yes, ma'am. That's why I came.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Anthony? Where was that pivotal point when something clicked in your head and said, "Uh-oh, if I don't do something soon, I'm not going to make it"?
Well, I mean, for me, it's just reality started to hit me. I was doing this, the same things, doing drugs and heading down the wrong path. And then at some point, it just clicked to me, like, I'm not going to get anywhere this way. I figured out, what type of life I want to live. And then I started to realize what I had to do to get there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mike, what you see students with these same issues?
With these same issues, Barbara, we have students, and Anthony's sort of typical. They haven't really faced reality, and one of the unique things we do when we talk to a student for the first time is we empower them. We ask questions. We let them know that they're actually the ones in charge.
And this program is Point Option.
This program
which is in
Point
Newport
Option
News.
in Newport News, and it's a wonderful thing. And we're about to celebrate our 40th anniversary in 2013. So kudos to Newport News Public Schools for recognizing the need for this type of program, because all students don't fit in the same box. Mm-hmm. There are students who just don't fit in a high school of 2,000, just like there are adults or high school graduates that go to a large university, and others who choose a small college, mm-hmm. like myself. But our students come into us and they don't really face reality, and we try to open up that door for them. Once we figure they've stepped inside, we ask the question, who's in charge? We know we can't make anybody do anything once they get to high school. So we ask them what their goals are, what they want to have when they're grown, what they want to do, what they see their future as. And we ask them how their choices that they've been actually making, because they're in charge of their lives, are going for them right now. And, for example, Anthony said, well, right now, Mr. B, my choices aren't too good. So mm-hmm. we're there to help them make those right choices.
Describe for people who don't understand how Point Option works. It is an alternative high school, correct?
Well, we call ourselves a non-traditional high school.
Okay.
And rather than the alternative. Over the years, alternative has meant to a large group of people a school for bad kids.
Exactly.
We don't believe there are bad kids. There are kids who behave badly. There are a lot of people who behave badly. However, that can be corrected. Oftentimes, students aren't taught appropriate behavior when they're young. Parental situations, single-parent homes, parents with 2 and 3 jobs, and they're just not around through no fault of their own frequently. So we try to address those issues. Mm-hmm. But Newport News has given us the flexibility to take in students who are falling behind in their regular schoolwork. They're behind in credits.
So your students are still in school?
Our students are coming from the traditional high schools and applying to get in, looking for a different type of environment. We catch them before they're going to go the dropout way.
So you're catching them just before they step out.
That's correct.
never make that return.
And we've also transitioned now into a program where students can accelerate. And we find students like Anthony who come in behind in credits. They get turned on to school. We have a lot of different activities and a lot of different ways we teach and learn. And we use distance learning, and all of a sudden they start accelerating their credits, and many of them actually graduate ahead of time in 3.5 years. Wow. So that's really cool.
That's fantastic. And the classes are small?
Classes are small. Our biggest classes are about 15 students. We have some actually smaller. So the one-on-one attention and the relationship that our students have with the adults and the adults have with the students makes a huge difference, because it's not just we're here to talk about schoolwork and what you did and what your homework is and, how you're progressing A, B, C, D, or F. We're talking to students and they're talking to us about things unrelated to school. So there's a relationship piece there. They know we care about them as human beings. Because all teachers and all administrators and all folks want to do that. Our advantage is our size.
Your size, you can do that. Now, Luther, your Commonwealth Challenge takes those kids after they've dropped out. Is that right?
Correct. We do take them after they drop out, or some kids that we say are drop-ins, kids that go to school but don't
But they're not really doing
anything. They're not doing anything, just sitting in the classroom. And those are kids that we want to try to get to change their lives.
Mm-hmm. Now, you take more of a military approach to your program because it is a part of the National Guard. Is that right?
We do put them in a military setting. The first 2 weeks are what we call hardcore, and that's pretty much where we start teaching them how to eat.
That would be the part that scared me to death. Go ahead.
But they learn how to eat, sleep, walk, and talk all over again. Talking, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am. And they work on their physical fitness and working on their mind and themselves.
Mm-hmm. Elijah, when you first went in, was that whole idea regimen of discipline and being told what to do and when to do it and so forth, was that frightening or was that more reassuring because your life was kind of spiraling?
It was more like, this ain't nothing. This isn't nothing. I'm not going to let nobody get in my face. And then once you get there, it's a whole nother thing because you got about a 6-foot guy screaming in your face, get down, get down. You're going to get down.
So it took on a whole different lifestyle, didn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Using that approach, what do you find, Luther, in terms of the kids? Is that a way to kind of get everybody on the same page before you move into working with them academically and so forth?
Yes, it's a way of putting them, trying to get them to work together in a sense. You have to listen to somebody, and all the kids come in and say, I don't want to listen to anybody. I don't respect authority. But somebody's going to tell you what to do, and we're trying to show them that somebody's going to scream at you, and you're going to have a boss or somebody that's going to scream at you one day. You can't explode on them because you're going to lose your job. Mm-hmm. So just do what they say, and if it's not going to hurt you or kill you, go ahead and do it and complain later. Mm-hmm. But we don't give them the option to complain. But yeah.
Now, students that want to come to Commonwealth Challenge, they have to want to come. Is that right?
Correct. The requirements for the program, it must be between 16 and 18, willing volunteer, no felony charges, drug-free, and a resident of the state of Virginia, and a U.S. citizen. The program is free. We're 75% funded by the federal government, 25% by the state. But the willingness, they have to have a willingness to change, because if they don't have that willingness to, kind of change or want to change, then they're not going to succeed in the program.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call. Join our conversation. We're talking about ways to help kids who have dropped out, ways to keep kids from dropping out today as part of our American Graduate Let's Make It Happen initiative. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Anthony, what are your friends... The friends that you were hanging out with before, what do they say about you now?
Well, I'm not in touch with most of those friends, but they all live in my neighborhood, and they're not really doing much. But I think some people, they haven't said much, but they probably don't care about it. Just they didn't really say much about it.
So, what do you think it is that makes? And I'm asking this of each of you, but what pushes that button, makes that spark? What happened? Because if your buddy didn't change, but something happened to you. I mean, I wish our audience could see you, because I'm sitting here, I'm looking at a young man who is well groomed and positive, and something turned you around. So why don't you think it happened with your friends?
Well, my friend, I guess they didn't have the opportunity to change, or they didn't want to change. Just like you said, coming into your program, that if they have to have a willing to change, and if they don't care or they don't want to, nobody can make them. Mm-hmm. On my other hand, I wanted to change, and I was ready to change and make a difference, because my mom raised me, tried to raise me well, and I wanted to do right by her, and also I wanted to have open myself to opportunities to be able to do what I wanted to do.
Mike, if a student comes into Point Option and they're not successful, or they still try to maintain those same attitudes and feelings that they had when they got there. I mean, is there a point where you have to say to them, you got to do something else?
And we have a deselection process, as we call it. It's perhaps 3 to 4 students a year who will return to their home schools. But we're a voluntary program also. Okay. So students have to fill out an application, and their parents really can't drag them in. The parents are a bystander in their interview process, to more as an informative session to learn about what the school is all about. Students answer all the questions. We want to hear from them, not from their parent. Sometimes we have to ask the parent to let their child answer the questions. And then oftentimes the transition period, for example, a student who missed 50 days of school in the first semester and had all D's and F's, the transition period will be he or she only missed 10 days of school this semester, and instead of all D's and F's, got all D's and a couple of C's. So sometimes that progression takes some time, and we see it, you know, wow, he or she's coming every day now, so, you know, now we have a chance. And usually it's because they've connected with someone.
There is a common feeling, I think, among people who are not experienced with kids who drop out or thinking about dropping out, that these kids are stupid, that they can't learn, that they don't want to learn. Luther, is that the case?
No, ma'am. We get kids from every end of education. We have kids that come in and almost max the GED test. So they're not dumb by far. They misguided, if you want to say that, but not dumb by far. And sometimes my teachers sometimes will say, or society will say, that teachers shouldn't have to deal with outside issues, that they're there to teach. Obviously, your teachers must have a different perspective because they're looking at these students holistically.
A totally different perspective. And I think all teachers really do have that perspective, but it turns into a numbers game. When you have 150 students that you see and are responsible for, and they have to pass the exams and the tests, I use the term, they become human doings rather than human beings. And when you have a relationship with a student above and beyond the ABCs, the math, the reading, the science, the social studies, it's amazing to see that student flourish. And it is our job as educators to teach behavior and to teach proper etiquette and to teach people how to get along. At Point Option, we don't even talk about the word tolerance. We teach acceptance, and we preach it and we live by it. And that's one of the things our kids are really happy about. People accept them for who they are. We take them from where they are to where they want to go.
Where they want to go, which is most important.
And they all want to be successful. No one comes in and tells me they want to go to jail or they want to be poor or they want to be a criminal. So
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. John joins us from Norfolk. Hi, John. You're on the air.
Yes, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm fascinated. I'm glad I turned on to hear this. I'd never heard about Point Option. I'm a Norfolk resident, 30-year retired military, school teacher in public school for a year and a half, and then in private school for 4 years, middle school specifically. And kind of a two-part question. My first question is, does Norfolk Public Schools have any kind of communication with Point Option as far as lessons learned, best practices, sort of a dialogue on how they might be able to use some of the successes from the organization? And the second part of my question to the gentleman from Point Decision is, do you see any kind of a need for expanding vocational opportunities for students, and especially starting that as early as middle school, because there are, as you mentioned, not the forms of education we have, the environments, the size of schools is not for everyone, and obviously lots of choices cost money, but I'm just curious about your response to that.
Okay, thanks, John, for the call. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, John. Believe it or not, I had a local school district come and visit me this past Monday about Point Option and how we do things, and they're thinking about starting a program like that. Point Option, before I arrived in 2002, was a regional program, and students could come from all over Hampton Roads, but the student who did not live in Newport News had to pay tuition. And I think it just became a monetary thing at that point in time, and that stopped. although certain school divisions pay for students to go to Enterprise Academy in Newport News, that no longer happens at Point Option. But there's a lot of interest in Point Option now that we've been around so long and we're successful as we are. And I agree with your point about vocational education. Our students enjoy our school because we do a lot of hands-on learning. Our field biology class goes on a field trip 1 day a week. Our physical education classes work out at Riverside Wellness Center in the middle of the day with the general public who pays to go there. So we have an outdoor education class. Our students learn how to canoe and kayak and backpack and appreciate the outdoors. Our physical education class actually goes fishing to learn a lifetime skill. So our students really enjoy working with their hands and opportunities to do so earlier on. There are kids who are just built that way, who like to do that, and it would be wonderful to see more opportunities.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about some of the programs at Commonwealth Challenge also? Some of the things that you all do?
Well,
Lisa?
They do go to school from 8 to 4, 4 to 5. They do physical training. We're big on physical training. They have a mandatory hour of study to teach them how to wash their clothes, iron their clothes, polish their boots, make their foot locker. They hang, display, and write.
And, I have to say this one thing because I have got to tell people, if they could see Elijah sitting here in his uniform, it is ironed to a T. The creases are there. It's perfect.
Thank you.
You did a great job. Go ahead.
And on Saturdays, we do try to take to an educational place like the Air and Science Museum, the aquarium, and to try to expose the kids to things that they haven't done. We have still have people or kids here that have never been to D.C. We take them to D.C., walk them around, show them the Capitol. We actually give them a tour of the Capitol and let them talk to some of the congressmen and congresswomen. Before they leave the program, again, they must either go to higher education, get a job, or some kids join the military.
Is that an ultimate goal?
For some, but we try to push them in the direction of going to school because the military is not for everybody. We wear our uniforms and we tell them what to do, when to get up, when to go to bed, and they like that discipline aspect, but it's not for everybody.
Okay, 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Give us a call if you've dropped out of school yourself or if you know someone who has. If you're mentoring someone who has dropped out or is thinking about dropping out, we would love to hear from you. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about alternatives for students who've dropped out of high school or are close to dropping out. This is as part of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting's initiative, American Graduate Let's Make It Happen. My guests are Mike Bonfiglio, principal with Point Option, Anthony Lowery, a student at Point Option, Luther Boykin with Admissions and Public Affairs at Commonwealth Challenge, along with Cadet Elijah Charles, also with Commonwealth Challenge. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Rainey joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Rainey. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon to you and your guests.
Good afternoon.
Okay, briefly, I was just wondering if those persons in the Peninsula operation and, of course, here at the Challenge operation had considered utilizing some form of drama in their programs. And I say this because I recall in another area those two significant things. One of your authorities just mentioned getting along with people. And, of course, in a drama program, you're going to work with socialization skills. And, of course, the other benefits that come out of using theater, I don't want to use the word role-playing, but I'd like to know how they feel about that. And, of course, we're not talking about Hollywood and Broadway. We're just talking about cultivating excellent communication and socialization skills, preparing them to go out into the real world.
Okay, let's let our guests answer. Thanks for calling. We appreciate your call. Who wants to take that one?
I'll take it.
Mike?
I think it's a great idea. Unfortunately, most programs like mine and other programs are located in small settings. We have a limited number of elective courses that we can offer. We do bring in guest speakers to talk to our students about some of the topics that you just mentioned. 2 weeks ago, we had Philip Brashear in, son of first African-American Navy master diver Carl Brashear, to talk to our students about a variety of topics, including socialization skills, including getting along with others. So we tried to do that in a roundabout way, and I was kind of felt your question tongue-in-cheek, because one of the things we try to do is keep drama out of our schools once our kids arrive. But it's a great idea.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Bill joins us from Hampton. Hi, Bill. You're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you? Great
okay.
Topic.
Thank you.
I had a question for the gentleman. I myself, I'm an author and I'm a motivational speaker. But I heard one say that the children, some criteria, they couldn't get in if they had felonies. And so many of our children fall prey to felonies, some that they've committed, some that they haven't. What about those children who have felonies? What about the ones who may not fall into the criteria? How can we assist them? And I need phone numbers for both of these programs so I can refer people who would like to assist them. Let's talk a little bit about those children with felonies.
Okay, we will get you phone numbers and websites in just a little bit, but I'm going to let Luther handle your question. Thanks for calling.
When a kid comes with felonies, we try to tell them to go back to their PO and to take their case back to their judge along with our application. And some of the judges in the area are very, very good at reducing the charges so the kids can come to the program, depending on how bad the felony was. So that's our advice to them. Take it back to your parole officer, who will take it back to the judge along with the application that they're applying for the challenge program.
Okay. Do you have that issue at Point Option?
Well, one of the things
also?
we also have at Point Option in the evening is an adult education program. And we actually offer high school courses online to people in our community 18 and over. And they can find an application.
So can anyone take those courses?
Yes, they can find the application on the Newport News Public Schools website. We just enrolled a gentleman last night, 32 years old, who needs a credit and a half to complete his high school diploma, to get an adult high school diploma. So he comes and sees us every Thursday night, logs on to his distance learning courses, and will probably receive his diploma within a couple of months. Mm-hmm. So we do offer those opportunities in the evening.
You want to give the phone number and the website for Point Option?
Sure. Our phone number is 591-7408. And you can find Point Option on the Newport News Public Schools website, and just look at the drop-down menu under Our Schools, and we are under Additional Programs. Point Option will be listed there.
And Luther, you want to give the information for Commonwealth Challenge?
For the Commonwealth Challenge, and I must mention that we are a state organization. We're not just for the peninsula. We are a state organization. 757-491-5932, extension 231 or 235. And the website is www.vachallenge.org.
VAchallenge.org. And so you take students from all over.
All over the state.
Okay. One of the things with Commonwealth Challenge also is that after the 22 months or so that they're...
5.5 months.
5.5 months. I'm sorry, right. 22 weeks. That's what I meant to say. At Camp Pendleton, then there's a year program where they have to have a mentor. Am I right about that?
Correct. Every kid that comes in the program must have a mentor. After their 5.5 months, their mentor will follow them for 1 year to ensure that they're staying on their plan, because they have what we call PREP, where they have post-residential plans, long and short-term goals that they must accomplish, or we want them to accomplish, and that mentor is there to help them, and also the mentor reports back to us.
Now, but they bring their mentor. Is that right? Because I was looking on your website last night, and as part of the application, the mentor has to apply too.
Correct. The mentor has to apply at the same time. The kid comes in for in-processing, and we try to do little events for the mentor and cadet to bond, so they can bond. So it's not like after they graduate, they're going to find their mentor and try to do things with. So we have little games like basketball, football, and volleyball, and we try to get them to bond in the program before they graduate.
Elijah, you have a mentor?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you all get along?
We're fine. He works at the Princess Anne Rec Center. My dad goes there a lot to work out, and I go there to play basketball. So I see him whenever I'm on pass, and we talk. And he's just like, "Hey, how's it going?" and stuff. Mm-hmm. Might shoot a couple hoops and stuff. So
if you had a problem, you feel like you could just call him, or I know that you're in the program right now, but
yes,
but you're establishing that type of relationship with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Diana joins us from Hampton. Hi, Diana. You're on the line.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead. You're on the air.
I ought to be a familiar voice for Mike.
I recognized your voice immediately. How are you?
Hi. I'm doing great.
Great.
Thank you. Just so everybody else knows, I'm a retired point option teacher. I taught there for 20 years as a math teacher, and I learned with point option, being with an alternative group, that the hands-on teaching, the learn graphing by making the graph on the floor of the classroom and let the kids move things around on it, all that stuff was very, very successful with kids. But I've also discovered that it works for not just alternative classrooms, because since retirement, I've taken some of those same skills and gone to recently just the Philippines and taught teacher seminars over there. So those hands-on skills and things can work in a regular classroom.
Well, so it sounds like not only does it work for special classrooms.
Some of these things are just universal, and they work with all children, regardless of background or where they come from or what their history is. And it's our job as educators to discover the best way that the individual student learns. Easier at point option with 130 to 35 students a year than it is with 2,000, of course. As I said, a lot of people would love to have this opportunity and to be able to do it. And I think more and more schools are transitioning to that. I know Newport News is really focusing on that.
Naomi, can I ask you a question? Diana, yes. May I ask you a question?
Certainly.
When you were teaching, what was the reaction from other teachers when they found out that you were working with students who were either thinking about dropping out or had dropped out of school?
Many, many times, until people understood what point option was all about and what it was like working with those kids, people would say to me, "Oh, I'm so sorry, that must be a really hard job." And those of us who work there, I shouldn't let out the secret, but we would think, absolutely, this is not the hardest job. It's hard work, but it's probably more fun because we often do things with kids, like Mike was talking about, the outdoor ed and the other things, that give us a chance to know kids better. And other teachers would be probably expecting that we were not going to have as much success with kids, that we were not going to have things happen. Oh, it's a shame we have all those slow kids, but they're not slow. They're just kids who have had a problem, and they come to us to try to turn it around and fix it.
Okay. We appreciate your phone call. Thanks so much for calling.
Bye-bye. Have a great day, Mike.
Thank you. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Thomas joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Thomas. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for the show. It's a really good one.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say I've been teaching in the Virginia Beach school system as a substitute for probably the last 6 or 7 years, and also coaching wrestling for Lansdowne Middle School. And I had a very, very talented wrestler on my team a few years ago who eventually went on to Lansdowne High School, and just a very extremely talented, gifted young boy who, started making wrong decisions, and, just one of those situations where you just want to grab him by the shoulders and shake him and say, "What are you doing? No, please stop. You've got to get your life on the right path." And his parents put him in the Commomwealth Challenge, and it has just made their life so much better. He was really struggling, making bad choices, and they put him in there, and he has done really well and turned around. And so I'm just hoping that anybody who's listening, thinking about doing this, it's great. I was a service member in the military, in the Army, and I can't tell you how many times I've said to kids, you guys need to go to boot camp. And this is sort of a good substitution.
Okay. Thanks so much for the call, Thomas. I think, Luther, you would say that the student put himself in Commomwealth Challenge, wouldn't you?
He volunteered. Yes.
He volunteered. Absolutely. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Naomi joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Naomi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm great.
Good.
I'm great.
What's your question?
I'm now a GED diploma holder. I dropped out when I was going to school in Virginia Beach Public Schools. The reason I dropped out is they have 3 different types of diplomas in Virginia Beach. They have a regular diploma, an advanced diploma, and a special needs diploma, which basically says you were there. When I found out, I could not qualify for the advanced diploma nor the regular diploma, and the only diploma I was going to get was the special needs diploma. The special needs diploma does not allow you to take a GED. It also does not allow you to join the service nor anything else. It just basically says you were there. Is there anything that can be done to change that, maybe, or something?
So is that the type of diploma you have now? Is that what you're saying? Or you,
no,
or you
ma'am.
never got the diploma?
I dropped out. I dropped out so that I could have the option to get my GED.
Okay.
Well,
I don't know.
I
Mike,
know in
you wanna
Newport
try to-
News, as I said just a few minutes ago, there's an adult, and I know in the state of Virginia, there's an adult diploma, which requires 19 credits. So I suggest that you contact Virginia Beach Schools and look into that. And there are distance learning programs, I believe, in all the local school divisions. So you might be able to go back and finish your course requirements for the adult diploma.
Okay, thanks so much for the call, Naomi. We appreciate it. Elijah, what would you tell a student who's hanging out, who was doing what you were doing, and maybe thinking about either dropping out or has dropped out of school?
I would definitely tell them to come to this program, because you come to this program, you get the discipline that you never thought you could ever have, like just staying quiet in class. And the teachers are great because they work with you one-on-one, and the discipline in that classroom is still there. So you can't just get up, sharpen a pencil, talk, or none of that. So because of that discipline, it's easier to learn.
Mm-hmm.
You can get stuff done. And I would just tell them to come to the Commomwealth Challenge, because it's changed me. I'll just say, hey, look at me. Look where I'm at now. So they'll just be like, yeah.
Do you think you'll be a mentor to someone else later?
Possibly, yes. I could do it.
Okay. How much longer do you have?
About 2 more months.
Is it scary thinking about leaving?
No, ma'am. Not at all. I just can't wait, because after I graduate, I plan on going to TCC, because in this program I get to take the TCC placement test. And so after I get my GED, so once I take the TCC placement test, get enrolled, I'm going to apply for the apprentice program at the Norfolk Naval Shipyard.
Okay, so you've got it mapped out.
Yes, ma'am.
That's great. How old are you?
17.
17.
Yes,
17 now. Sam joins us from Newport News. Hi, Sam. You're on the air.
It's Stan, but
Stan. I'm sorry.
My son and I, up to a certain point, disagree with a little bit of a previous caller. I gave my son a choice. He either goes to Commonwealth Challenge or finds himself another place to live. And he did go to Commonwealth Challenge, and he is actively employed as we speak.
So you must be very proud of him.
Oh yes. He did a good job. He came home. I don't know if they told you before, but when they come home, they're stiff. And they're yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full, whatever you want. Yes, it was a good program.
How did you find out about Commonwealth Challenge, Stan?
My son was having lots of problems at school, and I went to his counselor, and I said, I'm almost at the point I got to send him to military school. And they said, we may have an option for you. And they did. So,
okay.
Really good program.
Okay, thank you so much for calling. Luther, you can't take everybody.
No, ma'am.
So what do you, because I want to ask Mike this too, what do you look for in terms of the students that you do select?
Well, we do 2 classes a year, and we take up to 200 kids per year, 150 males and 50 females. We are having a kind of like a hard time getting kids to conform to coming to a military standard program. Mm-hmm. So we don't get all that we think we should get. So, and I think we're the best kept secret in Virginia for some reason. Once a child graduates the program, they kind of like forget about the program instead of spreading the word to other parents. So
that's something that you would need, those that are listening out there now that are Commonwealth Challenge graduates, you need them to spread the word.
Keep talking about the program. And like I say, some parents are, we say, embarrassed about their kids coming to a program and have to go to an alternative to do something, to get their education another way. So, but we want them to continue to talk about the program, and we want to spread the the word about the program out a lot more.
Mm-hmm. So you take 200 kids each session?
Each session.
Now you have 90.
We have
Mike.
about 90.
Right?
This semester we have 104 that are active and attending school. During the course of the year, we'll serve about 135 students. Last year, we actually had 57 receive their diploma through completing their requirements at point option. Some are incoming or seniors, and a lot of students come in second semester, 9th grade, 10th grade, and they remain at point option for the rest of the entire time in school and complete all their courses with us. Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes a difficult choice as to who's going to come in.
Who gets to come in and who doesn't?
It's an application process, so students, parents fax us an application, mail it in, give us a call on the phone, and then we just start interviewing kids. And basically, we try to spread out the acceptances over the 5 comprehensive high schools because a lot of people want to get in, and we don't want to take just students from one of the schools, so we have to accommodate all 5. We look for students who have the academic ability, but they just haven't been successful in that comprehensive school environment. Students who have high SOLs and poor grades, and they're not performing in the classroom, but they're hearing and they're listening and they're taking things in, and they're able to pass the SOLs, but the rest of it's just not their bag. This is not the place for me, as I talked before. It's just too big. I'm intimidated. I don't like asking questions in front of a large group of students, that type of thing. So it becomes difficult, and we now, have a waiting list generated. So, and when the student graduates, we'll pull another student off of the waiting list and get them in as soon as we possibly can to make a smooth transition.
Anthony, I want to ask you the same question I asked Elijah. If you could talk to your buddies, talk to somebody who's thinking about dropping out now or not staying in school, what would you say to them?
Well, actually, I have talked to my friends and tried to get them into it. And, it's just like, they have to want to or something. And really what I would say to them, if I had to say anything, is just think about it. Where do you want your life to go, in the future? Because a lot of people don't think in the future, they're thinking now. Mm-hmm. So, just think about where do you want to be at in 5 years or 10 years, and what do you have to do to get there? Because then if you figure that out, then you're on the right track to,
Okay, so where will you be in 5 years? What's your game plan?
Oh, well, I'm planning. I haven't decided, officially, but I'm planning on either going into the Coast Guard or going to Thomas Nelson, a community college, and transferring to a regular college.
And how old are you now?
I'm 18.
18, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this your last year?
Yes, my last year.
Graduating in June?
Yeah.
You should see the smile.
Anthony's been with us for 3 years now, and as he knows, he's like a son to me at this point in time. We've been together since he's 15 years old, and it's amazing to see the growth and the way he interacts with adults, his responsibility level. 2 weeks ago, he went on a trip with the College of William and Mary students and 5 other point option students to the Adirondacks and camping, canoeing. I shouldn't say canoeing. It was a little frozen up there then, but skiing and things like that, and learn how to survive in the outdoors, and teamwork and leadership was a big part of it.
We've got about 2 minutes left in the show, and I want to get this from the 2 gentlemen who run these programs or work in these programs. What do you say to a parent, Mike, who is at his or her wit's end with a child who's not being successful right now? Give them a word of advice, other than just come to point option, but in general, what do they need to do?
At this point in time, and I'm just speaking about high school students, you really have to listen. You really have to ask questions and then listen to the answers. You're not going to force your child to do anything. You're not going to make your child do anything. Even Mr. Charles over here, no matter how much people can get in his face or tell him what to do, it's his choice to make the change.
Yes, sir.
They're facilitating. His folks are facilitating the change at his school. We're facilitating the change. And too often times, as adults, we think we can force or make the change for the students. And that's not possible at this time. I have 3 children of my own, 3 college graduates, and 2 are graduating in May. I haven't made them do a thing.
Okay.
Opened up the opportunity, provided the opportunity for them, mentored them, and listened to them.
Okay. Give the phone number for point option one last time.
591-7408.
Okay. And Luther, what do you tell them?
I would tell them again, also listen and ask the questions and give them choices. Don't recommend things as punishments. give them a choice. We know they can't stay in the house all, till they're 50 years old, but give them a choice. Give them some options rather than to just say you're dumb, stupid, and you're not going to do anything. Mm-hmm. Give them a choice of where they need to go. Pick something. Point option, mm-hmm. Commonwealth Challenge, or another program, rather the Commonwealth Challenge. But, give them choices. Lay choices out on the table and have them pick.
Okay.
Or
give the phone number one last time for
Commonwealth Challenge, 757-491-5932, extension 231 or 235.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Barbara.
It's great to hear about this program, and we wish you all the best of success moving forward. And we'll be right back.
When he dropped out of school, he never went back. Tell me one more time, people. Yeah. What he said. Without an education, you might as well. Got to listen now. What he said. Without an education.
And welcome back. Before we talk about events happening around town, a programming reminder. Join us for Challenging Circumstances, the Dropout Epidemic, on Monday, March 26 at 9 p.m. on WHRV-TV 15. Our own Lisa Godley examines the dropout crisis here in Hampton Roads. And visit WHRO.org/American Graduate to read Jasmine's Journey by Cheryl Ross. It's an in-depth look at one student featured in the documentary. And then join me on Wednesday, March 28th at 7 p.m. online for a Teacher Town Hall where teachers will talk about solutions to keeping kids in school. The Teacher Town Hall will be streamed live on WHRO.org, or you can go to Booker T. Washington High School in Norfolk at 7 for a community watch party sponsored by the Norfolk Education Foundation. Here's some other things happening in the community. This weekend, starting tonight, March 23rd, is Singles Weekend 2012, Controlling the Flame, sponsored by Covenant Community Church in Suffolk. Tonight is a meet and greet, and Saturday is a breakfast and panel discussion featuring saxophonist Mel Holder. Register online at covenantcommunitychurchva.org or call 757-539-1724. Hear the soulful sounds of jazz artists Alex Bouillon, Jeff Lorber, and James Saxmo Gates at the Back-to-Back Keys concert Saturday, March 24th at 7 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn, Suffolk Riverfront Hotel. Proceeds help the Gladys Gatton Foundation, dedicated to the morale, welfare, and support of female veterans and their children. Visit SuffolkRiverfrontJazz.com for more information. And to celebrate Women's History Month and the opening of the Norfolk State University's Women's Economic Development Center, a series of free workshops are being held the week of March 26th. All seminars start at 6 p.m. and are free. And the week culminates with the Step Into Your Purpose Awards Luncheon at Scott Dozier Ballroom. My sincere thanks to the center for honoring me along with other women at this luncheon. Just sorry I can't be there because I'll be here on the radio with you next Friday. Find out more at nsu.edu/Women's Center. Next week is a busy week for us here at WHRO WHRV as we take an in-depth look at the dropout crisis in Hampton Roads. This is such a critical issue that other media partners have joined us in this effort, including the Virginian Pilot, Inside Business, and WVEC TV 13. Look to them for continuing coverage of the dropout issue. And that's our show for this week. Next week, to spank or not to spank. Our guest says African American parents must stop spanking their children. Looking forward to what you have to say about it. For producer Lisa Godley, audio engineer Perry Smith, Veronica Kinch-Clark, who answered our phones, I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the weather today and join us next Friday at noon for another view.